We're not looking for trouble. We just want to have fun. We like the trip, the meeting of pretty girls, a beer from time to time. Popol, Playboy's MC.
When you saw a gang of long-haired bums with tattoos and a motorcycle, hey, what's this? You know, nothing told us in the beginning that this was going to be trouble to the extent that it did become.
The Angels, Red and White Empire.
That's Andre Bouchard at the opening there, former Montreal cop, head of major crimes for Montreal Police Force for about 34 years. And of his many virtues, being truthful here is not one of them. I can swallow a lot of things, but what I cannot swallow is the police making the statement that in the early 80s, they did not know the extent of the biker crisis. The bikers certainly knew. They knew how to play the game. We're going to talk about the early bikers in the township Sherbrooke area. Talk a little bit about a gang called the Dirty Reich. Before they were Hells, even before the Gitans, they were the Dirty Reich. That's not going back as far as the Irish Red Hand Gang in Montreal, but it's pretty far back. It's about 50 years. The 60s. Georges Beaulieu, the de-facto president of Gitans, who rose to prominence in the Hells Angels, was at first a member of the Dirty Reich. The Gitans, or Gypsies, first formed as the Dirty Reich in the early 1960s. They changed their gang name to the Gitans in 1970. They were allowed to patch over to be the Sherbrooke Lennoxville Hells Angels on December 5th, 1984. Then on May 24th, 1985, we have the massacre of Laval chapter members at the Lennoxville bunker. And that's it. You have a brief history of the evolution of the Dirty Reich. Going back even further, this feels very lecture-y. I'm sorry. But going back further, the Dirty Reich actually, they spun off from an early version of what would become the Gitans' number one rivals, the Atoms. So the Atoms begat the Dirty Reich, begat the Gitans, then patched over to the Hells Angels. That's the history. That's the sequencing. And it's like, why is that important? It's important because you just can't throw these names around, because where we're going in this story, we're gonna start saying so and so was an Atom or so and so was a Gitan. You're gonna be so friggin' confused. If you don't have a little bit of a foundation, people, you're gonna get very frustrating. So this is your foundation. The earliest written evidence of the Dirty Reich appeared in a 1968 La Tribune article documenting a meeting in Sherbrooke between the Dirty Reich and this motorcycle club out of Montreal, the Playboys. The Playboys came to Sherbrooke for a Saturday meeting with the Dirty Reich, and a reporter was permitted to, sit and take notes. I don't know, bring them beers or something, and for their leader Popol, Sherbrooke was a bad memory. The last time they kind of cruised through, the local police hassled them and fellow members, Popol, Ronnie, Thibaub, Bonnie, Francisco, Jean, et Luc. And after reading this article, I have to admit, I was even beginning to doubt myself and think that maybe this whole biker thing's that I misunderstood this situation. And these are just some excerpts from this 1968 article. They travel together on weekends. They laugh all the time. They live in Montreal but never spend time there. They've been as far away as Percé and the Gaspésie. They promise to return to Boston every week. Their only passion, their bike, that it is in order and in good condition. They only live according to this motorized machine which represents freedom and escape for them. For them, it's friends and the motorbike. They affirm indeed that their main motto is all for one, one for all. And they are ready to come to each other's aid. Bikers do not try to cause trouble. They want to ride a motorbike and sail in the open air. That's all. Besides, when they leave like this for a weekend or even a few days, they admit wanting to take the fresh air, to sleep under the stars, under a bridge, in a barn, or an abandoned house. That's that 1968 Le Tribune article, and I have to admit the council at Rivendell didn't see such fellowship. Nevertheless, this article documents what was, I think, an early, well-crafted myth about bikers, that they were misunderstood and they were unfairly villainized. According to Popol, and your average biker was this harmless libertine like Arthur Rimbaud. If he had enough to quench his appetite, a bike to ride, an abandoned barn in which to rest his weary head after a long day's ride, then he was content. Or maybe the bikers were more like wild animals. If you didn't mess with them, the bikers wouldn't mess with you and society. Don't look them in the eyes, man. Except that most bikers weren't average, as we know. They didn't mind preying on society, stealing property, cashing pensioners' welfare checks, as documented in the Secco report. You know, to put it bluntly, a jug of wine, a line of coke, and thou. So despite apologies years later, like we hear from Butch Bouchard in that Hells Angels documentary, it's one of those. The excerpt is, one of those really bad History Channel documentaries on the Quebec Hells Angels. Right? It's one of those deals. You have to sit through 45 minutes of nonsense to extract 10 minutes of content. But despite these apologies that we didn't know, and it was a few bad apples, this Le Tribune article documents very clearly that the press, that the police, that society was being fleeced from the very beginning. And I'll go one further. Here's an article from the following year, the spring of 1969. This must have gotten lost, in all the giddy excitement around the moonshot that year, because this is a whopper. A young priest from Sherbrooke will wear a leather jacket and the crest of the Dirty Reich Motorcycle Club. La Tribune, May 21st, 1969. Father Jean Salveig, vicar at Sainte Famille Parish in Sherbrooke and chaplain for the Dirty Reich Motorcycle Club, has no intention of imposing himself. Like all movements of young people, we must not be accepted. We must be desired. It is the same thing with the bikers. Father Salveig said it is important that he be able to take part in the club's outings and that he is present at their meetings. You have to be close to these young people and know them well, continued Father Salveig, to realize that the outward appearance is very deceptive and that they are far from being as too many people imagine them. A group of Dirty Reich club members asked what they expect from the chaplain. First insisted that Father Salveig is first and foremost a friend, that they did not know he was a priest during their first meeting. The bikers added that he is an advisor, a guy who knows them well and who thinks more than them. Thus, the members of the Dirty Reich Club specified that Father Salveig had acted as an intermediary with the parents of their friend André Colombe, who lost his life in a motorcycle accident during the weekend. Explains Marcel Frank Thibault, vice president of the Dirty Reich Club. We were squeamish, and we didn't have enough psychology to talk to André's parents and convince them to let us participate in the funeral. The few Dirty Reich members present all agreed on one point. Father Salveig knows them well. They are more at ease with him, which makes him better able to advise them with the problems that arise. And I'll direct you to the website, theresalore.com, theresalore.com. There are photos of Popol from the Playboys, photos from the funeral of André Colombe was quite a big deal. This a big weekend affair. Lots of bikers from the surrounding area showed up to pay tribute. There's a picture of a flower arrangement here that the Dirty Reich presented at the funeral. It's something to see. So go to the website. Continuing in the club. During an interview, Father Salveig specified that the decision to become chaplain to the bikers was not taken immediately. Ordained a priest less than a year ago, Father Salveig met the bikers on several occasions. Then he was asked, "Are you game to board with us?" Since then, he has attended a few biker meetings, and meetings have even taken place in the basement of the church. Make no mistake about it, explains Father Salveig. The members of the Dirty Reich Club want to be at peace, and they don't want to trouble anyone. Now, all of that so far I don't have a problem with. I don't have a problem with a ministry's outreach to try to reach these gangs. I don't have a problem with meetings taking place in the church. All of that sounds like a fair gambit. That's where we go from here. A project. Father Salveig explained that bikers realize that when several of them meet at one place, everyone is uncomfortable and many are afraid. It is for this reason, he said, that steps will be taken with the municipal authorities of Sherbrooke in order to obtain financial assistance that could allow the acquisition of a house outside the city, where all the members of the Dirty Reich Club might get together. The members of the club know that the municipal authorities of Granby have contributed a grant to set up Les Québécois, a biker club of the city, in a building outside the city. They would like the same thing in Sherbrooke as a contribution to the organization for leisure activities for young people. Yes, it sounds very similar to what was going on at the same time in Montreal with Lamech. And we'll get there. Continuing, his motorcycle. Yesterday, Gingras et Filles Limités lent a motorcycle to Father Salvé, and it will be available to the young priest as long as he acts as chaplain to the bikers. The firm will also take care of the maintenance of Father Salvé's motorcycle. The latter welcomed the news with joy, but the joy was even greater among the members of the Dirty Reich Club. The crest. Father Salvé said he wants to dress like the members of the Dirty Reich Club. I want to wear the jeans like them, a jacket, and most importantly, a club vest. The name of their club, he said, is very important to them, and they see to it that they conduct themselves well so as not to sully that name. Father Salvé's jacket will have just ignore the allusions to Nazi Germany, but it's okay. We're all being brotherly here. Father Salvé's jacket will have a small chaplain crest at the very request of the members. The chaplain added that his presence in the club had the effect of overcoming the objections of several relatives who did not value their son being part of the club. Finally, he said, I could allow myself to be more present with them when I get to know them better. So that's this May 1969 Le Tribune article, and there's more pictures. So there's a picture of Salvé and Boboy and the Vice President Marcel Frank Thibault presenting Salvé with his motorcycle and his colors, his vest. It's the same photo from last time's episode. Only last time I didn't caption it. However, somebody guessed what it was correctly. Well done, and that was Father Salvé in the photo. Mention. I don't know everything about these affairs. That's kind of the point. You're a player, you're a participant in this. So somebody did say, that I don't know if this is true or not. I can't find documentation of this. That Salvé went on to become president. I don't know that that's true. As the Dirty Reich maybe when they were the Gitans, possibly, but they transitioned from, Dirty Reich to Gitans in 70, so relatively rapidly. But mentioned. Go on, but did he later married, that he had a child, and that his I don't know what happened to him, but that his wife is still living in the Sherbrooke area. And I've posted the full article as well. It's in French, but it's a showstopper. You can see it teresalor.com, and there's so much, obviously, to digest here about Father Salvé. As the article says, he's a young priest with this Saint-Famille parish in Sherbrooke, who, not unlike many priests in that era, wanted to do outreach, fulfill the ministry and the community. And as I say, in this way, he's not that different from the work with early biker gangs by John Dalzell, the Montreal cop who in April 1969, just 1 month before the publication of this article, launched Lamech, or the Association of United Motorcyclists of Quebec. And there's a link to that whole thing if you want to know more about the history of Lamech. It was one of the earliest attempts at community policing programs, where again they were doling out government money to early biker gangs. Dalzell, very much like Salve like Dalzell, wanted to wear the appearance of a biker, the jeans, the leather jacket, ride the bike, all of that stuff. So we see this cross-pollination and this symmetry between like programs in the era, and not only in Montreal, but being replicated in Sherbrooke. For me, efforts by people like Dalzell and Salve would have had the effect of instantly legitimizing biker culture at a time when gangs were eager to establish a foothold in Quebec communities. As this article suggests, if you were a parent and you were having doubts about the people your son was associating with, but then the police, and not only the police, but your priest, your parish priest, told you that there was nothing to worry about, you wouldn't question such authority figures. And then as well, you had the media backing it up. You had the Montreal Gazette and the Sherbrooke La Tribune promoting these olive branch initiatives as something to be desired by communities. Personally, it is not unlike, say, a parent believing there was foul play involved in the disappearance of their daughter, but then the police and town college coming out and suggesting that she was a drug addict, a lesbian, a runaway, so you should just go home and forget all about it. Everything is fine here. That's the power of institutional influence. As I've said, I have no doubt that in those early biker days, there were members who genuinely only wanted to ride their bikes on weekends and be left alone. But they were easily manipulated by figures and duped by figures like a Beaulieu, who knew they were taking advantage of the good graces of stooges like Father Salve, whether he was a willing stooge, whether he was a full-patched, converted, drink the Kool-Aid member, is something left unanswered. But I'm not a prude, but if you're a priest, there's a moral gray area here, right? Accepting bribes, like leather jackets, and a bike with free maintenance, is the surest road to becoming co-opted and corrupt. That alone is just, if you sit down with the mafia and you share a cup of coffee and he buys, figure buys you a cup of coffee, you've already been compromised. Remember, Georges Beaulieu is not a choir boy here, although in the photo online, there's every indication that was the case, but he was not. He was involved in the murders of the 5 Hells Angels members at the Lennoxville bunker in 1985. The Lennoxville Massacre, sometimes called the sleeping bag murders. In 1988, he was arrested in Amsterdam and extradited to Canada, where he pled guilty for his involvement in those 5 murders. So this sets the stage for where that trajectory eventually led. As I said, we don't hear about Father Salve again. He's involved in community work until about 1972, and then he drops off the radar. And you can only speculate to the reason. I wonder if he eventually saw the light and that he was being used as a tool. Less than 5 years later, in 1974, you had open war in the streets of Sherbrooke. Adams and Gitans literally shooting it out in the downtown streets. And I can't imagine any resident of Sherbrooke having the tolerance for, at that point, for Salve's biker sermons, that they just wanted to be at peace and that they don't want to trouble anyone. But Father Salve wasn't quite finished with his do-good ministry for the Dirty Reich. He would reemerge in the fall of 1969 with what I consider to be a showstopper. It's kind of like the P.T. Barnum Man of the Cloth in the Eastern Townships. I'm presenting to everyone the greatest shit show on earth. What happened next is some kind of church voodoo fuckery, to be sure. But that is a story I'll share next time. This is Who Killed Teresa. If you have any information that would help solve a crime, crimes today, but certainly a lot of tomfoolery, contact the Sûreté du Québec at 1-800-659-4264, or you can send them an email at cic@sûreté, surete.qc.ca, and state your claim. For all roads, go to the website. You can go to teresalore.com and research the cases we talked about today and previously, and there's also links there to all kinds of things. You can buy the book Wish You Were Here. You can sign up for the newsletter, That Case Is Not Here, on Substack. And you can follow us on social media. All those links are at teresalore.com. That's enough for today. This has been Who Killed Teresa. I'm your host, John Allore. Have yourselves a great, great day.